Hello everyone, this is Utkarsh from Sunsoft Technologies, and today we'll be covering loops. Now let's first understand some operators before we go into loops so that we can understand how those operators will be used in loops. So now because these operators work with container data types in Python and with while and for loop we might be using container data more than anything. So let's understand these operators. First of them are the membership operators. So now these operators are in and not in. These operators are used to determine if a particular value is inside the element, this element being the container type. Let's see an example of these and we'll see how these operators provide the mechanism for looping through the for and while loops in a while. Now let's see an example. Now since we know that strings are container data types as well and we haven't covered lists yet, so we'll be using strings as a container data type. Let me just declare a variable, right? And I say, so this is my string. So now what I want to check is if RSH is in this string, then it says true. Now I want to check if this string contains u, then that is false. But well, u is in there, but the problem is that the u is uppercase. So the in operator is basically just telling us if the particular string is inside the given string or not. So let's try t. Now t will obviously be true. So you see that the membership operator returns true or false in the case if it is inside the string or not. Now we'll see the not in operator. So if we include the not, let's say I want to check if u is not in name. I only want to do something if u is not in this particular string. So what I'll use is not in. Similarly, if I want to check if f is not in name, then it is true. So you see that not in, and you see that this is very readable. If RSH is in name, this is very readable, and you apply these operators with just a space in and it looks like you are writing in English. You only want to check. Now if you use it with the if statement, then see, this is very readable. So you see, if f not in name, if f is not in name, then print success. This is very readable syntax, and Python boasts its readability, and these operators help in that. Now you see that success is printed out. So now let's go back and look at the other operators, identity operators. Here we are. Let's look at the identity operators. Now these operators are is and is not. These operators are used to determine if a particular variable is or is not a certain type. So now because dynamic typing is there, any particular variable may have a certain type. So if I want to put on only a string operation on a certain variable, or if I want to do a numeric operation and I do not know if that is a valid number or not, then what I want to check is its type. So how do we check that type? So I want to check its identity, what kind of type it is. So for that I'll go and see what type it is. Let's go back to the PowerShell. Now here we are back at the PowerShell. So now let's look at the identity operators. So let's say I want to check if name is string or not. So what I want to do is check type. Type is a function provided by Python library. Type of what? Type of name is str or not. You'll see that usually when you use type function, it returns you a class str. We'll see that. Wait a second. So it says it's true. So why did we use the type function? See, the type of name returns you this, that this is of the class str type. Alright. Now if I just say name is str, now that is false. Why is that false? Because you are not returning this. The is going to check for the type, particular type. So what you need is type of anything. So let me declare a new variable over here. So I'm keeping tabs of number of barrels in our factory, right? So now I say type of number of barrels is float. Is it float? False. So it has a very strong system of checking of identity. It will only return true for int. Is it string? No, that is false as well. So now I want to check if it is a certain type. But what if I want to check if it is not a certain type? Now I only want to apply any numeric operation on this, and I know that I can do that if it is not string. So let me put it that way, and then it will return true. So type number of barrels is not string, so I can apply this operation. So we increase the capacity by 12 times. So now we see that it is 2760. So these are the membership and identity operators. So here we are back at loops. Now what are loops used for? Loops are basically used to repeat the execution of the same code for multiple times. Now if we want to print, let's take this example. If we want to take the print out the table of 15, you would multiply 15 10 times with numbers ranging from 1 to 10. Now I have highlighted ranging because we'll be using the range function to get that 1 to 10 range later on. So now to accomplish this, we have two kinds of loops that can be incorporated in Python. First we will look at the while loops. So this loop runs while the test condition is true. So it will work on a condition and see if it is true, and as long as it's true, it will run the body that is provided, and the body is provided with the indentation only. So now as soon as the condition turns false, the while loop stops executing and the flow of execution returns to the top to bottom style. So basically it was going from top to bottom, and in between it encountered the loop, so it ran that many times unless the condition turned false, and as soon as it turned false, it went back to the last of the loop. Now let's see an example to better understand the while loop syntax and usage. Now let's go to PyCharm and see what we can do with the while loop. So here we are back in PyCharm, and now I have created a new file loops.py in the PyStart project that we were using. So now inside here, what I'll do is now I want to print something while the condition is true. So for that I'll just make a test variable and I'll set it to true. So now I'll say while test is true, I want to print something, and then I want to check if test is true, then I want to put in false. So let's see what happens. I'll run this. This is running is printed once, because as soon as this is printed, this goes in and checks if test is true, then test is turned to false. Right? Now let me declare one more variable, and then I say if number of barrels is greater than 0. So I want to decrease the number of barrels every time, and if what this will do is check if this is not true. So if not number of barrels, so if it is not truthy will be only if it is not 0. So if it is 0, then this will return true, and if it is returned true, then I want to set test to false, and as soon as it is false, then it will come out of the loop. So now let's run this. See how many times it ran. It ran 1 2 3 4 5 6. So what happened is, it started from 12, it decreased every time, decreased by 2. So it was 12 here, then 10 here, 8 here, 6 here, 4 here, 2 here, and after that it became 0, and as soon as it became 0, it was false. So test was false. After that it did not do anything. So you see that how we can control the iterations of these loops. Yeah, exactly. So now let's go to the slide to look at for loops. So now for runs, this loop runs for a limited number of times. This loop will run for this number of times. So that's how the for loop comes in, and it is governed by an iterable series length. So what is happening is, if you want a custom series to iterate on, then you'll use the for loop, and when we need a list for iteration, we get the range function in Python. So let's use the range function to get some lists, and then we'll see later on how we can use lists. When we'll be covering lists, we'll see how to use that with the for loop. So let's use the range function for now. So here we are back in PyCharm. So for now I'll be commenting out this code. Yeah, I have used the control plus slash to comment these lines out, and we'll be using the for loop. So for loop, what we'll be using is, let's say, x in name, because name is a container we can use. So we actually don't have name, so let me declare that name equals. So now we have name. So inside this, what I want to do is, so now I want to just print out x. So for what this does is, for x in name, so here the in operator gives x each and every value that is in name one by one, because strings are iterable. So what it is doing is going to the first character, then the second character, third character, fourth character, fifth character, sixth character, seventh character, just like that, and then it is giving that character to x. So now I want to print out x each time. So let's see how this works. So you see that it has printed out. Let me enlarge this so you can see it clearly. So yeah, so this has printed out Utkarsh line by line. So now what do we want to do? So this is a simple example of using in operator. So now let's go on to the range function. What the range function does. To see what the range function does, let's print out range of, let me give it a number, 5. So let's see what it does. Let me comment this out as well so that it does not print out. Yeah, so let me just make a variable nums. This will give us 0. Similarly, if I want to print out what is the value for 1, then it will give us 1. So now the thing is, this is doing this because it will not give us all the values at once. As long as we ask for it, then it will give us the values. So that saves us the time. So now what this range method is doing is, basically if we use this in the for loop, then we'll get the range at the same time. So let's use it in the for loop to just see what it is doing. So if I give it range 5, see here PyCharm is exactly telling you that you're giving it the, if you're not giving anything else, then that is the stop. So stop will tell you where you have to stop the range. So if we print out x now, what it will print out is 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we see that this has given us a range from 0 to 5, but not including 5. The stop, whichever stop you give, it will not include that. Now let me print, let's say, up until 20. I want a range up until 20. Enlarge this. So you see it is all the way from 0 to 19, but not 20 again. You have to understand that. Okay. and then, so now this is the stop. What if I want to start from 10 and go up until 20? Until 20. If you want to include 20, you have to give it 21, not 20. If you give it until 20, then it will only print out until 19. So you see, it started from 10 and went up until 19 again. So now this is the start. So if you give two arguments, then the first one, see again positional arguments, this is important, the position of the argument. If you're giving two arguments, then the first position will determine which is the start of the range, and the second position will determine which is the end of the range. So now what I want to do is I want to print out only the other number or the second number. So what I want to do is, now I'll give the skip. So I want to skip to the second. So let's see what will happen. Now what it is doing, it is going to the start, then it is adding this, getting the next number, seeing if it is still in the range. It is in the range, print it. So first it went from start, so 10, skipped, this is the skip. So skip to 12, then it skipped to 14, then 16, then 18, but not 20. If you say 21, then it will include 20. See, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 and 20. So this is how the range function works, and you can use this to create any series you want. You can see that this creates an arithmetic progression, and that arithmetic progression you can use in any kind you want. If you want to give it, this start is the A that is defined in the arithmetic progression, this is the end of the range, and this gives us the D or the sum difference that we have. So this provides us the range method. When we'll be covering lists, we'll see how those container elements can be used with the for as well. So now let's see one more thing, and then we are done with loops. Now let's see what happens if the condition is false in any loop. Now as we know that the loops run on the premise that the test condition provided is true, it will run only until it is true, which is in the case of the while loop and for the for loop as well. So what happens if the condition is not true in the first place, or if we want to execute some code when the condition turns false? In these cases we can use an else clause with the given loops. So here we are back in this function, and now let me uncomment this as well so that we can see both of them. For now let's comment this. So now what is happening is it is testing for this test variable over here. Now once this has been tested, so this will return true and this will keep returning true, and as soon as this turns false, it is out of that loop. So now what I want to say is, if this is true, then do something else. See, indentation is important. So else print out what is the number of barrels. I need to know what the number of barrels is after it is done with the loop, and then I want to print out number of barrels. So let's try and print this. So you see what happened is it printed out this is running, and then it printed out number of barrels 0. So what do I want to do? Let me just print number of barrels over here, right? So we see how it is progressing. First the barrels were 12, then 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and then after that this is else. Now what if I give the number of barrels as 0 only? So what I'll do is basically check if this is truthy. If it is truthy, then do this, else do that. So let's check. Yeah, number of barrels is 0. Okay. So let's get back. Now I want to add else to this for loop as well. Let's once more contemplate what would be the false and why would that be the case. So again, let's take name, right? And in here, whenever I'm saying X in name, so you remember how membership operators returned true or false values. So what this is basically doing is that it is giving that value to X, and because X has that value, it will turn true for that. So firstly, X has capital U, so it will return true for that, right? Else I want to print. So what this will do is print out the end of name after. So let's try this. Yeah. So this printed out end of name after it turned false. So you see, after it is done with all of these elements inside the container type, then it turns false. So you can see after it is done, then it turns false. So this is the end of the loop section, and thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.